Welcome, everybody, to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your host, Lady JB Owen, and I'm happy to be here on a wonderful Wednesday morning, wherever you are in the world. Blessings to you, and welcome to Ignite Humanity Live. Well, we're talking today about ways to ignite humanity. That's right, each and every one of us can ignite humanity in our own unique way, our own divine way, our own special way, and we love to talk about that on the show. How can each of us create a ripple effect around the world to raise the consciousness and uplift the planet, to make people feel wonderful and fabulous and really welcome into the place that they live in and welcome into who they are. We all have gifts and aspirations. We all have that special little unique part of us that the world is so waiting to see. And we want to spark inside of you the idea that you can truly be the best version of you. And that's the magic in igniting humanity. We bring guests on the show to talk about their ignite moment, that moment that really sparked change in them. And they became the hero of their story and of their journey. And they're here to share with you some of the things that have come out of that experience and how they are igniting humanity. Let's meet our guest for today. Well, Jennifer Parker is a licensed clinical social worker and accredited as a clinician through the National Association of Social Workers, and has provided psychotherapy for 36 years for both trauma victims and general mental health issues. Her internship at a battered women's shelter began her passion to develop resources for domestic violence victims. And in order to reach more survivors, she published Coercive Relationships: Find the Answers You Seek. Great book. Since retiring from clinical practice, Jennifer devotes her energy to reaching survivors through social media, podcasts, and presentations, and providing specialized training in effective therapy. Folks, please forgive me with this cold that I have and this little bit of a foggy brain. I'm doing my best, and I'm so happy to be here. Jennifer, please come see us on the show. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. And I just love the idea of igniting humanity.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Me too. I wake up every day, throw back the covers, and feel like today I get to ignite humanity in another way and meet a great individual on the planet who's doing the same. Tell the folks where you're coming to us from.
Madison, Wisconsin, in the
I
US.
love that. I love that. And what would you say is your most passionate way to ignite humanity?
Well, my most passionate way to ignite humanity has been through my work as a therapist. I always felt like, as a therapist, I was really doing kind of spiritual work, connecting people, helping people to connect and to get past whatever traumas or depression, anxiety, and whatever was bothering them. And so empowering people is the way that I've wanted to do that. And eventually, that's why I wrote my book, because I wanted to be able to reach more people with that.
I love that word, empowerment. That's like my favorite word too. We are the leaders of empowerment publishing, Ignite Publishing. We only publish empowerment books. I think there's a real energy behind the word empowerment. For a long time, we were really grokked into self-help. And for me, that meant people needed help because they were helpless and they couldn't do it by themselves. I feel like empowerment is so enriching to enable people to realize that it's an inside job. The work comes from within. I'm sure you as a therapist can agree. Can you talk a little bit about how that empowerment is really a self-regulated job?
It really is. And part of what I saw, the reason I got involved in this work was that I was going through my own crisis, going through a divorce. I had been married for 11 years. I had 2 young children. I came from a pretty patriarchal kind of family. I'm older, so that was pretty normal, but unfortunately it still happens. And I really tried to make my own marriage different, but you know how it is. It's like you bring yourself into there. We did the best we knew how at the time. So what happened was I was going through a crisis, a devastation. You know how it is if you lose a relationship. It was really an identity crisis. And as part of that, I really started to reach out and to educate myself more. And I wanted to get a job because I had 2 young children, had not been working for a couple of years. And so a friend of mine connected me through the social work program to do a practicum at a battered women's shelter. I didn't think that I knew anything about domestic abuse.
Mm.
Well,
Mhm.
I really did. We just didn't call it that back then in terms of my background. And so that really ignite is a good word. It really awakened me to things how things in my life had been going and what was behind that and so forth. And what I recognized is that their lives, there were some common themes that I had with them. And so that, as I was empowering myself, I began to read things, feminist reading. Riane Eisler is a wonderful author who really talks about why is there so much violence in our world. And so as I really got into that, I dedicated myself to wanting to empower other people. And that's why I
Mhm.
became a therapist. And you're right, empower is a great word because it's not, it's like we need to start with where people are. We can't have an agenda for them of
Right.
helping, which sometimes happens. But it's like we need to be with them as well as help them to move forward in whatever way they want to in their lives. So that
Mm.
was really my ignite moment that got me going. And the book, what I'm doing now is all about still wanting to empower people.
So not a coincidence, right? Would you agree? It wasn't a coincidence that that was your practicum. Are you in favor of the
Right.
fact that the universe orchestrated you to be in there at that moment to learn those lessons?
Absolutely. It was all in divine order. That's how I see it. Yes,
And
definitely.
it's true. I mean, I think you use the word crisis, and I've been in the same situation where things just are not working out. But it's always for me the beginnings, the precipice, the diving off of the cliff into the next best thing. That crisis can often be the catalyst to what great is coming. Can you share a little
Exactly.
bit about that? I'm sure many people come to you in crisis, and how often is crisis just the beginnings of greatness?
It's an opportunity. That's how I saw it. It's like, it's not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens to you. And
Amen.
I had that experience, my lived experience through my crisis. And yes, one of the things I loved was seeing how people would blossom, how things would, coming out of that really real crisis in their lives, how becoming empowered and figuring out what's the best path for me really helped them to blossom. And I think that many times they could say, we wouldn't say, oh, I wanted, if I had it to do over again, I really want this to happen to me. But it's like they made it work for them.
Mm.
And that's what I really like to help people to see is that um, it's something called post traumatic growth,
Oh, great
that we
word. I
really
love
do
that.
grow. Yeah, we
Right?
really do grow through crises. Yeah.
Well, it really has actually been the precipice of the precedent of ignite moments because so many of us, in fact, I believe every single person on the planet has an ignite moment, multiple ignite moments, in fact. And these are those moments that are awakening to us, that bring us to the next level and the next version
Mhm.
of ourselves. Sometimes they're difficult, sometimes they're challenging, sometimes they're hard, sometimes they're unexpected. And it's these
Mhm.
ignite moments when we rise to the occasion, when we pick ourselves back up, when we use that resilience muscle. Talk a little bit about that because when people feel like I just can't pick myself up again, there's this real resilience muscle that, of course, yes, you can. And as you empower yourself, that rises you up.
I can remember feeling like, in the first couple of days after my husband was leaving me, and it was like I was devastated, I was depressed. But getting past that and really connecting with my friends, my support group, beginning to read, beginning to really think, do my own therapy, those kinds of things really helped to connect me and get past that moment. I mean, it's normal to be depressed, right?
Hmm.
But there is that moment when it's like light bulbs start to go on,
Right.
you know, an increased awareness of, who am I? Who am I really? If I'm not going to be a wife, who am I? What do I want? What's important? Am I really happy in this relationship too? Really asking yourself the tough questions, and finding people who support you is really, really important. And I don't mean they just encourage you and accept everything. I mean, they might tell you some tough things too, but they
Hmm.
do it in a kind way. Um, in a way that's really meant to be in your best interest. And yeah, I
There's
think
some
that
real
story is really important. Telling our
Mhm.
story, knowing our story, not having it be what somebody else says about us, but what we believe about us.
We are kindred spirits in that because I love when people share their story in a way that empowers them, in a way that they've learned those lessons from that process and they're using those lessons to benefit them and to move forward. You obviously have an Ignite moment. Would you like to share with us a little bit of an Ignite moment in your life?
Um, well, I thought I did, but my Ignite moment was during that crisis.
So what was
I
your
will
obviously
also
you did. You're
say,
correct. You did. Thank you.
yeah, but I will also add just another little story. Before that Ignite moment, when I was in my marriage, one day I was sitting in church, and there was a woman minister up there. The primary minister wasn't a woman, but sometimes the woman would speak. And this light was coming in through the windows. And I should say that I was a very shy person, that I was valedictorian in my class, but I refused to give a speech because I just couldn't do it. Okay. So that's the
Mm.
background. And it gives you some idea of how much I've changed. But anyway, so the light was coming in, and suddenly this voice in my head said, "Someday you're going to be doing this." And it was just like, what? And I talked with my husband about it. It's like, does that mean I'm going to be a minister? Well, fast forward, when I was a therapist, I thought, that's what that was about. It wasn't
Yeah.
that I was going to be a minister, but that I was going to be ministering to
Mm.
people. So I love that. And
That
so,
is quite an Ignite moment. It's beautiful
yeah.
because you sometimes we get those messages, right? And talk a little bit about listening to them and dialing into your intuition and being open to the discovery of what's unfolding in front of you before, after, and during a crisis.
Very important to have those moments, to have that quiet time, or those things that really help to ground you, and inspire you. So it might be, certainly for me, it's meditation and prayer,
Mhm.
but also reading poetry. I just read some poetry this morning, to kind of ground myself before the show. Music for some people is very, very important. Walking in nature, whatever it is, it's important to give yourself those things. And I just want to acknowledge that if you are going through a crisis of some kind, or particularly if you're in an abusive relationship, that's hard to come by that time. It's
Mhm.
really, really hard. So I just want to acknowledge that. And when I was working with people, I would say, even a minute or two before you go in the grocery store, if that's all you can get to yourself, to just kind of breathe,
Mhm.
So I just want to acknowledge that's easier said than done, but it's very, very important in terms of really getting in touch with your authentic self, really listening to that still voice inside of yourself. I would say, divine spirit, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have to be religious, but if you
I
are,
think
then
that like crises are often really wonderful points of discovery and uncovering and adventure and investigating. I know when I was going through and I'm coming out of my crisis, and I also was in an abusive relationship for a very short period of time. It took a long time to
Mhm.
reestablish, reconnect, but what I did do was I got really curious about a whole bunch of things that I knew nothing about. I was like, okay, I'm going to just start learning. I'm going to start asking questions. I'm going to start trying new things. I'm going to try to meet new people. I'm just going to go
Mhm.
and and you said like, who am I? What am I about? What is my identity?
Mhm.
And instead of falling into the quagmire of it, I got interested in being like, okay, let's try this. Let's see what this is. Let's look at that. Let's meet this people. Let's see if I like that. And got
Mhm.
really curious about finding new things because again, going back to nothing is a coincidence, in the search ye shall find. As you search, you will find, and you need to be willing to search.
The right things will come to you. Exactly.
If you
Absolutely.
stay at home and sit on the couch, nothing's going to happen. Well, maybe
Right.
you could be watching Ignite Humanity and something will
Yes,
happen.
yes, yes.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, you probably share this with a lot of your clients, that one little step leads to the other step. It's not leaps and bounds, it's these little micro movements that makes big impact.
That's right. One step at a time. And giving yourself credit for that, because sometimes people become discouraged and they think, oh, I can't do it, but they don't recognize those little steps. Like watching this show, for instance, could be a step. Um, Deciding, smiling, giving a smile to somebody, giving encouragement to someone could be a step because it kind of takes you out of yourself.
Mhm.
Being a great parent, you know, giving your children, nurturing, that kind of thing. And you know, in our culture, we don't value nurturing enough. Have you ever
It's
noticed
true.
the
It is so
nurturing,
true.
the
Come
nurturing
on, you can do
profession?
it. Get up, brush yourself off, don't cry. It's all fine. You're fine. You're not nothing's wrong.
That's true, but also we pay them less, generally speaking.
Wow.
We pay them less. Think about teachers. Think about a you know, daycare providers and all of that. And it's such an important job.
It's
It's
true.
like you don't have to be writing a book. You don't have to be putting on a show to make a difference in the world. And we just do that one step at a time.
It's a really great point, and we talk about this on every show. One person can make a massive ripple effect because one person can touch another person, and if that person, I mean, just think about it. When you smile to somebody and then they smile, like you're going through
Hmm.
the door and you open the door for somebody, and then the next person opens the door for you, and then they open the door for you, and it just creates this ripple effect. Can you
That's
imagine
right.
doing that with goodness, with love, with care, with forgiveness, with compassion, with understanding, with empathy? I think one of the things we've lost the most in humanity is really just realizing that we're all just human, we're all just figuring it out, we're all just making mistakes, and it's still okay. We've been so hard on people when they're just kind of figuring out what life is all about instead of more laughing or okay, I messed up that, or okay, I'm learning, I'm still figuring it out. If we just had more laughter, more fun, more it's okay because we didn't come here with a plan on how everything is supposed to unfold. And I think the universe is really, really doing magical things to bring us towards our challenges and our crises so that we can do what we do. Your crisis brought you to you doing this. This is powerful work for humanity. Same for me, same for every guest on the show. If there's someone
Mhm.
watching right now who's maybe sitting in some of their own quagmire, do you have some words of inspiration for them?
I do. Um, it's important to keep reminding yourself and to surround yourself with people who will remind you that you do make a difference.
Hmm.
And to think of it in terms of one day at a time. And sometimes I've noticed in my work that when people are doing things to take care of themselves, the self care stuff, the things that we talked about that really help you be in touch with your genuine self, they start to worry that they're selfish or that they're
Right.
self-centered. They may be told that even, especially if they're in an abusive relationship, and that is not the truth. You know, if you're Christian, you know that Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself," and frequently we forget the "as yourself." You're supposed to love yourself. You're supposed to
Exactly.
take care of yourself, and so to remember that taking care of yourself doesn't mean that you're going to be self centered. That as long as you're grounded in love and respect, communicating respectfully, even if you have a difference, that kind of thing, there is that's not selfish. That's not
Mm.
selfish. It's not self centered, and you're going to make a contribution. And I was going to say too that you know it can be so difficult not only getting past our mistakes, but also if somebody um, maybe does something that feels like it's harming us, it hurt us, or they have a difference of opinion with us or whatever, it can be so easy to like make that person bad. And so to come back and to see them as they are, they are, I call it being a divine being living a human life.
Yes.
And they were a baby once, and we all make mistakes and that kind of thing. And being able to really find a way to connect with that person and still, you know, maintain our own boundaries and our own opinions. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
that we give in to those. So we really need to work on that a lot.
It's true. I noticed that if I have like a habit of reacting a certain way, if I just change the way I react to things, like people around me change. And I've often
Oh
had
yeah.
this conversation that it
Yeah.
doesn't take two people to fix or heal a relationship. It just takes one. If one person starts acting differently, responding differently, making different, their own, living in their own authentic truth, the other person, has to also see that and react in their own different way too. So it doesn't always take two people to fix a relationship. It just takes one person. Really, the best relationship you have to have is with yourself. So I love when you say that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's a big saying of mine too. That's the most
Hmm.
important relationship. Yep.
Is there
Yeah.
some ways that people can create better relationships with themselves?
I think by spending time with themselves,
Hmm.
big fan of journaling personally, but I know that that doesn't work for everybody. But writing, and maybe if you've been through a difficult experience, maybe it begins with venting, but really pointing that writing not just towards venting, but towards, okay, what's the next step for me, or what is this experience teaching me? What can I learn from this? That kind of writing and journaling, and affirming yourself. I started out with the affirmation, I am enough, because I came out of a childhood where you sort of got perfectionist messages. And so I
Hmm.
didn't feel like I was enough. But whatever affirmation is important for you, to really remind yourself to write that out, those kinds of things are very, very, very important. But if journaling isn't your thing, if it's more important for you to talk to people about it, get a good therapist, or have a close friend that you can talk to, that's also good. But having time for yourself,
Yeah,
time
it's
to
so true. I love to practice radical self-love when I'm feeling low, like, and
yeah.
radical self-love, folks, is like, I love this chair I'm sitting on. I love these earrings. I love the fact that I'm in a warm house, even though it's winter outside. Like, I love that I get to be with this guest. I love that Jennifer's here with me today. I love that the team is working. I love that this technology is in the world. Like, it sounds crazy when you go down that path, but the truth is, when you really start experiencing radical self-love and expressing it, you start to see all of those good things, all of the things that you're grateful for and that are actually quite good in the world. And radical self-love can like turn things around quite quickly because we often focus on the bad. Have you tried radical
Mm.
self-love?
See, CJ, I totally agree. And I usually use the word gratitude, which is
Yes.
exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Really doing that. That, and along with laughter. Have you ever heard of laughter as medicine? It's like to
Yes.
make yourself laugh. Maybe it's watching a show, but once you just laughing and laughing and laughing, and it really can shift your mood.
I
Now,
totally agree.
now,
They
we're
do
not
laugh.
talking about ignore things that you need to take care of, that kind of thing, but it's like we do have a choice about how to be in the world.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I have a thing in my life where I say I only do what makes me happy. It doesn't mean I ignore everything else. It doesn't mean that I live in the bubble. But like, I only do what makes me happy. So if something isn't making me happy, I figure out how to fix it so that it makes me happy. Or if people are imposing things upon me and I know that it doesn't make me happy, I have like a really radical self-love conversation and say, like, how do we fix that? Because that doesn't make me happy. And when you
Mhm.
actually say, I only want to do what makes me happy, you start to maneuver your life in a way that you do the things that make you happy. And that ignites humanity because you are showing people that I do what makes me happy. You can do what makes you happy. We want to foster more happiness. And so it comes right back to like, humanity is really a mirror. We are all a mirror to one another. And it is our responsibility to rise up and be the best mirror we can be to others so that humanity has a better chance at truly being amazing.
I agree. I agree. And
Oh,
sometimes that
my,
takes
oh, I'm
setting
excited there.
and sometimes that takes setting some boundaries with people,
Yep.
like having that
Yep.
conversation, that kind of thing. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
very, very important. And you are not on, you're mirroring that out to the world. You also, if you happen to have children, you're mirroring that for them, that they can do that, so that then they're living their best lives as they get older.
When we look at the way we show radical love towards our kids, great job, you did wonderful, you were amazing. And then our little
Mhm.
voice to ourselves is so different.
Yes, yes.
How
So
can
be
we show
aware of that
radical self-love?
self-talk.
Pardon?
Sorry. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
You go ahead.
Um, be careful about your self-talk. Notice if it's negative and really try to shift that. And that takes practice, but you know what? It works. And that writing exercise of writing an affirmation 10 times, I've often given that. Write it and then listen. What's happening in your head? Are you talking to yourself negatively? Then that's one of the roadblocks. Write that down too on the opposite side of the paper, and then write it again.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's interesting. That hasn't happened before. We lost her for a second. That's cool. We'll see if we can get her back. There she is.
Am I here?
Yeah, that was a neat thing. The universe. Write it down.
Right.
I love that. And then the positive gave off a spark. Go ahead, continue.
Well, I don't know if it said, you also write down the negative, but on the other side of the paper. Did you hear that?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. And then, after doing it 10 times frequently, it's like it shifts something inside of you. Not that, it's all good from then on. You might still have to work with that affirmation, but it really does help to do it.
So beautiful. I love chatting. It's so good to hear your message and what you're doing. Folks, if you want to know more about what Jennifer is up to, please check out her website. Jennifer, any last words you'd like to leave us with?
Know that you make a difference. Know that everything you do, from parenting your children to teaching or whatever your job is, that you can do it in a way that makes a difference in the world.
Amen. Thank you so much for being here today, making a difference in all of our lives. It's such a pleasure to have you. Blessings, and thanks for igniting humanity.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Folks, I hope you got some good ideas from Jennifer, because each and every one of us has the ability to ignite our lives and ignite the lives of others. And that's a big responsibility that I'm happy to take on. I hope you're happy to take on, because when you make humanity important, you make people around you important, which it fosters better community, better towns, better cities, better countries. It has this ripple effect around the globe. And we all need that to really enjoy the future that's right before us. Well, if you'd like to know more about what we're up to at Ignite Humanity, check out our website. We've got lots of fun stuff over there. We're doing a big event called Gather-rama. We're bringing people together who are igniting humanity, who are talking about their business, their brand, their book, and their breakthroughs. And we would love to have you there. It's May 16th and 17th, 2024 in Las Vegas. And we're looking for speakers and attendees and people who want to be a part of this incredible community of Ignite individuals. We'd love to see you there. You can go to our website and find out more. We're also super proud to share that we are building schools. And so if you would like to help be a part of igniting literacy and helping us build schools in third world countries, we'd love to share with you our donation page. Every single dollar buys a brick, and your dollars help promote literacy and igniting the lives of children. So please donate and have some fun doing that. Also, if you'd like to tell your story and be published, well, Ignite is a publishing house, and we help you write your powerful Ignite moment in one of our many compilation books. If you'd like to apply to be a part of one of our Ignite books, then please visit our website, and we'll put up that link if you'd like to go to our website and apply to be in one of our books, or share your story or your Ignite moment. We'd love to hear all about it. And if you'd like to be on the show, well, please let us know. All right, I went overboard. I talked too much today, even though I wasn't feeling well. Blessings. See you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.